for like anyone that might be watching that is fed up of hearing that, like, you've got fibro, try yoga. You've got fibro, go for a walk. Because I understand from being in really, really dark, low places, how hearing like, just get up and move is like the last thing that I want to hear and the last thing that I want to be told, especially by someone who doesn't have it. Like, I mean, I'm already convinced. I've been on that journey. I understand. Like this before we've met this morning, I've done like a home little workout on on a channel called Drum and Bounce, which is just, yeah, I feel so much better than I did this morning, because this morning I was like, heavy, in pain in my back and my hip. I was like, not feeling it. Got up, danced, moved, got warm, got the endorphins running. So what is it that you sound like you really know your stuff? So what is it that like helps you, and what motivates you and gets you from the place of feeling like crap in bed and not wanting to get up and move, and not possibly feeling like you're able to going to the gym and lifting weights?
Not just any weights. My deadlift PR is 250 pounds. I weigh 160.
You compete, right? You must compete.
I haven't actually yet. I was supposed to this year, but because of COVID, all the competitions were all the meets were canceled.
COVID ruined everything, isn't it?
Yeah, right. But I did a mock meet just to kind of get an idea of like how it would go. And I also learned that I'm like, my symptoms are heat intolerant. So in the summer, I feel worse. My pain levels are higher and my strength is lower. So I have learned that if I want to compete, I need to be competing in the winter or early spring.
That's really interesting. So do you not feel like a physical change? So your symptoms are worse in the summer because of the heat. What is it like in the winter then? You're just like, oh, I'm great, I'm fine.
No, I'm not. It's not that I'm great. Definitely not great. But I think it's just like I have way higher levels of fatigue in the summer. And I notice like my joints and my muscles, just like I have higher levels of pain. And then when I was thinking back to last year too, when I was going through all of like everything, it was way worse in the months of the summer. Like those were the months that were like my worst flare months, were July and August, when the heat was bad. And now I'm in the Okanagan Valley, where like it's more like it's just hotter here in general. And so like my symptoms were bad for 3 to 4 months instead of 2. Right now I'm going through some other stuff with my liver, and we're trying to figure out if there's another undiagnosed liver autoimmune that we missed, or if it's just that my liver is struggling for some other reason. But so because of that, I'm dealing with some decreases in training stuff. But like, as far as like fibro stuff, it's definitely like way worse in the summer.
How do you combat that? What have you found that helps you sort of bring the symptoms down in the summer?
I kind of just have to like, I spend a lot of time inside. Like people are like, beach, like do this, let's hike. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I'll go to the beach once, like a few times, but in all honesty, I can only last for about like an hour or two. So a lot of the time it's not worth it for me to pack up my bag to go to the beach for like an hour to then leave. Yeah. I'd rather just stay at home and lay around, right?
Yeah.
So
do you find rest is as important as exercise?
Absolutely. And so last year, so the gym also like was my saving grace in 2019, because while I was going through all of that and I was working my 3 to 4 serving jobs, I'm living on Galliano, which I was brand new member to this community. I didn't have people out there. I didn't really have a support system. None of these people knew me when I wasn't struggling with my illnesses, right? Like they didn't know the me that I am when I'm not in and out of the hospital and like that kind of thing. And so I think they just thought that I was this weak person that needed to learn how to like get through some things on my own and like learn how to not rely on other people. And I'm like, no, it's just that you guys don't get it. You guys don't know what I have been through and what I'm going through right now and why I need the support that I need. And so the gym was like it was like the one thing that got me out of bed. And it was the one thing that like kept me going because I felt like I had control over it. And especially when I started to recognize that I felt better on the days that I went to the gym, it was like, okay, then it became even more of a priority, right? Because I'm like, okay, like I know that I feel better mentally, physically. And then a lot of the time it would just kind of be my escape from like, because like I was living with my mom and she's amazing. Like, do not get me wrong. My mom is so incredible and I love her and we have such an awesome relationship. But she didn't believe me.
Really?
Yeah.
You've come up against that as well. You've been through a lot in the last year then.
Yeah. And so, and she believes me now and she respects it now. And she totally is just like she listens now, right? Like she learned a lot in the year that I was there. But yeah, she, when I had a kidney infection and told her that she needed to cover my shift because she was one of my bosses, right? Like she was the manager at one of the restaurants that I worked at. Mm-hmm. I told her that I needed her to cover my shift after she had been up with me for over an hour in the middle of the night, like screamed in pain. When I woke up the next morning and told her that I was still in pain and thought I needed to go to the hospital and that she needed to cover my shift, she said to me, she goes, "Are you sure you need to go? Do you think they're going to find anything? They didn't last time." And she'll deny that now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to make something up like that because I'm not sitting here like my mom's cruel because she's not.
Yeah.
Right. She didn't know. And she probably just didn't realize what I was battling at the time.
Yeah. And there wasn't so much talk back then. I mean, it's only really in the last sort of 12 months that I myself have seen like #invisible illness and stuff like that and talk of invisible illnesses and what that means and what that looks like to people. So I get it, but it's shocking. It's shocking to hear. I'm sorry that you weren't believed by like your own family members. It's really hard.
Yeah. And so I mean, throughout 2019, I'll be honest, I definitely prioritized the gym over rest, just because it was the one thing keeping me going.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, and it was the one thing I looked forward to every day. It was the best part of every day. It was kind of sometimes the only thing that I enjoyed out of the day.
Yeah.
Because like my mental health was so bad because I had no support system. I'm in so much pain all the time and we have no answers. Right. And but now, and I have a strength coach and I actually went to school with him. We graduated from the same health science degree and he just went on to actually work as a strength coach. But anyways, he's amazing and he's so accommodating to like what I'm going through and any of my symptoms. And he's always like, is there anything I can do as far as like your training and your programming to like help? And I'm like, honestly, Ken, as long as you're okay with me making adjustments, like at the time of training, like to how I'm feeling, I was like, as long as you trust me to do that, we're golden. He's like, do what you need to do. And so when I do stuff like that, I just make sure I keep him in the loop with how I'm feeling, what I'm doing, why I'm training the way that I am. I make sure my training log notes are like detailed. If it's off program, I always make sure that I'm noting why, that kind of thing. But I definitely I train based on how I feel more so than I need to hit certain numbers.
I think that's really important, isn't it?
Yeah. And so like, that's a big thing because I also had a lot of people that are like, well, you're in this much pain and you're going through all this stuff with your health. Like, are you sure you should be lifting as much? And I'm like, A, the gym saved my life, so I'm not stopping. I was like, B, my illnesses, a lot of my symptoms are better when I'm active versus when I'm in bed for days on end. I was like, I know that I will feel worse if I just stayed in bed for 4 days. And so I'm just, and then I explained to them, I was like, and I don't train to hit certain numbers. If I'm training at 50% of what I was last week, then I'm training at 50% of what I was last week, but I'm still here. I'm still doing it. I'm still moving. And I just so make sure that I listen to my body, and I like, if I'm like, oh, I'm gassed, I'm done, I'm fatigued, I call it.
Love that. I love that. So, I think that, like, I mean, one of the questions I got online was, how do you cope with the whole, you're not allowed to weight train with fibro comments if you get them? Because this person's consultant told them under no circumstances were they allowed to weight train. And I'm like, you just answered exactly like what the answer to that is. Like, listen to your body. Don't be hard on yourself if you can't put in 100% that day. Like, you're still showing up. Like, give yourself credit.
Yeah. And the other thing too, because like I do see a lot of like, especially following like the chronic illness hashtags, and like, yeah, the whole like people like being like, do yoga, be active. Like, it's coming from a good place. It really is. Some people, for me, I'm kind of like, especially if it's not just fibro, if there are other underlying conditions, I'm like, okay, yeah, exercise literally might not benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be for you, and it might make you feel worse, because I don't know what else you have, because fibro is commonly seen with so many other conditions, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like, if it's solely fibro we're talking about, and we take out all of the other possible comorbidity conditions that somebody may have, how fibro, and I'm going to go a little bit into science here and why exercise actually has been shown to be beneficial in fibro. You're
love
like, yes,
love this. I'm like, I'm going to take notes. This is great.
And so this is kind of where I explain it to people, because like I've commented on a few of these posts that are like, when people tell me like to work out and they don't understand the pain, and I'm like, I get it.
Like, I actually do get it. Yeah.
I get how hard it is to start moving.
Yeah.
Like, we get it. But in my research, like the reason why, and like this is why I feel better with regular exercise, and like this is what a lot of like, it's pretty well documented in the research I've done anyways, like the studies I've found. Fibro patients, and most of the studies are done on women because fibro is more common in women than it is in men, but women with fibro that are regularly physically active see a significant reduction in their pain and other fibro symptoms. And here's why. With regular physical activity, because fibromyalgia is a flaw in the central nervous system. It's not a flaw in our musculoskeletal system. It's not a flaw in our peripheral systems. It's a flaw in our pain pathways and in our central nervous system. So with regular physical activity, you are basically retraining your brain, retraining your central nervous system. With fibromyalgia, we have increased pain signals that are sent from our pain center, right? So for the same pain stimulus, if you were giving it to somebody with a normal pain, like normal pain center, normal pain pathways, and a fibro patient would send more pain signals for the same stimulus. However, somebody like myself that is regularly physically active, I would honestly probably rate that pain lower than the person without fibromyalgia, because my pain tolerance is so high, because I have retrained my nervous system to better modulate those increased pain signals, as well as I have created a habituation to this pain stimulus. So my pain tolerance is way higher than most people's. So not only by increasing your, like by being regularly physically active with fibromyalgia, you're retraining your brain to train your brain to be better and more efficient at processing this excess amount of pain signals. So you're also going to have better pain modulation throughout day to day when you're not exercising. but you're also going to have a higher pain threshold, which has its pros and cons, honestly. But given the amount of pain that we experience, it is kind of a good thing to have that higher pain threshold so that the levels of pain that you feel aren't as intense, right? And so that's what I usually explain to people is I'm like, yes, okay. And getting started with exercise, especially as a fibro patient, what I typically tell people, I'm like, find a way to move every day for you that you enjoy, whether it's a walk, yoga, gym, whatever it is, form of movement that you enjoy that makes you happy, do it. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, aim for 30, just because exercise guidelines, they want you to have 30. But even if you're starting and you're kind of bedridden right now because you're in so much pain, start with like 10 minutes a day. Get up, set a timer, and literally just walk around your apartment or your house for like 10 minutes and go from there. Because and I'm in a little bit of a different case because, like I said, I didn't realize that the levels of pain that I experienced were abnormal. So I just kind of pushed through it all because I thought I was just being a bit of a baby. But I'll tell you right now that pushing through that has increased my quality of life long term.
Have you got a mic to hand that you can just drop right now? Because that that is what I feel so many people need to hear and understand. And you've just explained that so eloquently, and just you've hit, like, it's very clear and obvious that you've done your research. And like, what better person to hear it from than someone who walks the walk and talks the talk? Like, it's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is like that has made my week. I'm like, right.
Yay.
Woo! Everybody needs to hear this. Like, have you written your book yet? Are you
no
work on it? Because I really feel that it's your time.
Well, it's funny because I work in health, I work in healthcare. I'm not actually a practitioner, but I'm reception at healthcare clinics, right? And so there's one doctor that's she's a patient at one of the clinics that I work at, actually. She's not one of my doctors. But we were chatting, and because we've got a really good rapport, and we were chatting, and I was kind of telling her about my fibro and my view on it and that kind of thing. And she just looked at me and she's like, I wish more of my patients had the same view on their illnesses and their pain that you do. She goes, they need to hear it from you because I tell them and they think that I just don't get it and don't understand. And to an extent, she's like, I don't, but she's like, they need to hear it from you because you experience it and you've gone and you've exercised and you've shown you're the example that they need to see that it does work and that we're not just talking out of our asses.
Absolutely. And so I found your page because I was just doing a hashtag fibromyalgia search, because I struggle with what I'm about to say, because I don't want to come across as if I'm being unkind or negative towards people who are struggling and find it helpful to be sharing their struggles more than their wins, because no matter how bad the flare is, I do feel that there is always a win that you can get out of a day. And so I get quite tired and frustrated scrolling through Instagram, looking at so-called fibro warrior accounts and stuff like that are all just talking about the negative, and which just, when you're in a funk or when you're not feeling good and you're looking on your phone and looking at that type of stuff, it just, for me, puts me in that space. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it is really shit and I am in pain. And I find myself more and more my mood will start to lower when I'm looking at the wrong content. And that's the same for everyone, right? With whatever you're looking at social media, it changes your mood and changes your thought process. So I regularly look for like the content that I want to see, which is the stuff that I want to be portraying to people, is that like, yeah, it's shit, but there are things that you can do, and like it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to make your life easier and better. Yes, the research needs to improve. Yes, like people aren't taken seriously enough, and you know, all of this stuff is correct, but let's try and put some positive spins on it. Let's test ourselves. Let's do. And so I searched hashtag fibromyalgia, found you lifting weights, and I'm like, yes, thank you, God. But you don't, this from what I can make, it's like it's your personal account, right? That is the Instagram that I've sort of found you through. That's your personal account, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I'd call it my only account, my only Instagram account. It's kind of the only one that I manage. I don't, props to the people that do it, but I don't understand how people manage a fitness account, a main account, and then let's just say somebody wanted their own account for like their hair and skincare business. I want, and like the whole idea, and especially like with like the company that I like partnered with, like the whole idea is like we want to show that like you can actually like slide it into like your day-to-day life and like your everyday life, and like you don't have to shift what you're already doing to be able to be successful in doing it. You don't have to, like, right? It's not like, okay, you started selling this stuff, great, your life now needs to like, you need to live and breathe it. It's like, no, you want to show people that like, and especially because it is network marketing, right? And so like I do, like the whole idea is that like I need to recruit people, but like I don't want to show people, like I don't want people to think that like just because they start doing this, that they need to shift everything that they're already doing and like need to change their platform and like their interests. It's like, no, I want to show people that you slide it into what you're already doing, and that it can be like a side income, you can turn it into your primary income, but that you can also be a person outside of the network marketing business.
Just right? And be like, a person outside of your fibromyalgia diagnosis, outside of that label.
Well, and that's exactly it. I had one of my practitioners, and it's kind of ironic because she's one of the ones that currently is giving me the most issue right now. But when I went to her and was kind of like, this is when I moved back to Kelowna and went back to my old GP from Kelowna. She said to me, she's like, I really like your view on your illnesses. Again, like I said, I get this from like a lot of my practitioners, because my view is like, okay, yeah, great, I've got this, I'm in pain. What can we do to help manage my symptoms so I don't have to stop what I'm doing? Because or like, what can I do to like, or like, where can I make shifts so that I can still do as much of what I enjoy to do as possible? Because I don't like, and that's exactly it. Like, yeah, some days I need my days where I literally sleep all day, right? Like I have, especially because I work as much as I do. Some weekends I just crash and I'm out other than like, I'm like between my bed and my couch.
Yeah.
And all day, like all weekend. And sometimes I'll even miss my workout that day just because like, not because of the pain, but because my body is so fatigued that I'm like, I don't have the energy capacity to leave the house. Like I just need to sleep.
Yeah.
And so it's really like, I think it's really important for people to kind of find that like balance between listening to their symptoms and letting themselves like have those bed rest days, and identifying when they actually just need to get up and try to move a little bit. And sometimes I won't know. And so I'll be like, let's try moving. Let's get up. But sometimes I'll drag my butt to the gym. I'll get there. I'll do a set or two. And I'll be like, I can't today. And I'll leave. But I showed up, right? And then that's like, because my fitness journey started, and like, it's hugely about mindset, right? It's so much about mindset. And you need to do so much like mental and personal growth to be able to see these changes in your physical health, whether it's in your chronic illness and your fibromyalgia symptoms and your flares and how you're managing that, whether it's because you want to lose weight or like all of these things. It's so much about mindset and consistency and just showing up for yourself. And like, so for like, I guess, chronic illness and fibromyalgia, it would be showing up for yourself and doing those little self-care things every day that you know help make you feel better, right? So, but if you don't mind, I'm gonna kind of go into like what got me into like my fitness stuff anyways, because I was already like on my fitness journey when, great, okay.
Like I just do know, I'm just like, let the tape run. This, yes.
So, because I was already like in my fitness journey when the whole like fibromyalgia, like that health stuff kind of had started going.
Yeah, that had already started for you. You already knew that fitness was good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was already doing it. I had already kind of become addicted, was seeing progress, that kind of thing. But so I started my fitness journey in June of 2018. And like I mentioned before, like I have a bachelor's of human kinetics. So I've got a health science degree. I basically majored in getting jacked. I graduated in 2016 with that degree. But then in 2018, I had gotten to a place with my body that I hated seeing myself in the mirror. Like I hated it. I would cry seeing myself like without clothes on in the mirror. I was really good at dressing it to like kind of hide it and like whatever, but I hated it. So I reached out to one of my long-term friends who like I've known her since grade 7, I think we're going on to like 15 years of friendship this year or something. But anyways, I had reached out to her because she had gone into like personal training. And I knew that I knew how to work out and I knew how to train, but it was the whole diet thing. I was like, I kind of need help and some guidance in diet because I didn't take very many nutrition courses in my degree. They were options. They just weren't something that at the time I was super interested in. I was interested in what was going on in the body and how exercise impacted like physiology and like the whole physiology. I was more interested in the physiology than I was the nutrition aspect of the physiology.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to her and she helped me with the diet plan. And then from that point, I had committed to 4 days a week in the gym because I was working 2 jobs. I was working 7 days a week at the time. I was working like only between 2 jobs. I only had 2 jobs, but I was working 7 days a week. So I was like, okay. And I was literally working for like anywhere from 12. I think my longest stint was 47 days straight without a day off. And even when I'm working like these 12 days straight, I'm only getting like a day, maybe 2 days off before I go right back into another 12 plus day thing. So I committed to 4 days a week. So I was like, okay, 5 days a week. I had tried that a couple of times, like past months, like down the road, and fallen off because 5 days a week, like I could never make it. And then I was discouraged with myself and I was always playing catch up with my workouts. And it was just like, I was having a hard time. And I was like, okay, 4 days a week, I feel like is a good goal. It was like, because when I was trying to do the 5, I was able to make it for 3 for sure. But then I was having a hard time playing catch up with the other 2 that I kept missing. So I was like, if I can make it 3 and I maybe miss the 4th day once in a while, not the end of the world. For the entire month of June, I did not miss a single planned workout. I showed up to the gym every single day that I had told myself I would. And I started wanting to be going 5 days a week because I forget what it was. I think I had like Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday off or something like Tuesday, Friday, something like that. But I had a random day, like beginning midweek. And then I had like 2 days at the end of the week back to back that were rest days. On the second rest day in a row at the end of the week, I always wanted to be going to the gym. I was like, I wish I had a workout today. So then when July came, I was like, great, I'm going to up it to 5 days a week and I'm just going to alter the structure of like my workouts. So I did that. And then I started to plateau a little bit. So then I changed it up a little bit again. Then I moved to Galliano. And the gym facility on Galliano was like so minimal. compared to like it is not, like I said, we have one gas station, don't have a bank, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So definitely not your commercial gym that you get in the cities.
Yeah.
And so I had to like really like get creative with like how to still make my workouts what I wanted, because I had started to like, my weights had gone up, right? And like I was lifting a decent amount at this point. So I was kind of like, okay, now how do I do this so so I can still start seeing like progress with this lack of equipment. Then my buddy Kent was posting on social media that he was offering a 6-week free upon completion training program. So basically, if you completed the 6 weeks, you didn't have to pay him for it, because he was kind of, I think he was trying a new structure of programming to see how it worked. And so he kind of wanted like his subjects or like his guinea pigs, right? And he was like, as long as like you put the work in for me, you don't have to pay me. But it was just for anybody that like, if for whatever reason they signed up for it, he put the work in for the 6 weeks and then they only completed a week or two, they'd have to pay him $100. But which is fair, totally fair, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I signed up for that and I did the 6 weeks. I saw so much strength gain in the 6 weeks. And like, he was awesome because I told him the equipment that I had and he made it work. He found exercises with the equipment that I had. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, he reached out to me and he was like, so I want to offer you another 4 weeks free because I want to try a different training software. And I want your opinion as like the athlete of how you like it on your end. I was like, done, let's do it. By the end of that 4 weeks, so this is 10 weeks now that I've been working with this coach, right? And it's all online. Like he lives in Calgary, Alberta. I'm living on random isolated island coast of BC. So, which is perfect for me because I didn't need an in-person trainer. I knew how to do the exercises, that kind of thing, but just like having somebody else program it for me just took all the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
So then, anyways, so then at the end of the 10 weeks, he kind of like touched base and he was like, okay, yeah, like, and I was like, I'm kind of wanting to start powerlifting, like actually pursue like powerlifting, because I was noticing how strong I was getting and how much I enjoyed lifting heavy. And I knew I wasn't cardio because I was like, I kind of tried to do the bodybuilding thing and I was like, cardio is not my thing. Turns out because Fibro, we have decreased muscle endurance. So long duration cardio just isn't a thing that our bodies can really handle unless we like really, really trained for it. So yeah. And then I was like, so I kind of want to be a power lifter. And he's like, oh yeah, great. Like, cool. Let me know if you have any questions. I was like, well, why don't I start paying you and you be my coach? And he was like, sure. And so I've been working with Kent since January of 2019. He's still my coach. He's still doing my programming. I'm still beyond happy with him as my coach. I wouldn't really want anybody else. And it's funny because especially now that like I'm lifting what I am, so I'm getting a little bit of recognition in like the lifting community, like the local lifting community. People are like, oh, who's she? And like I'm friends with like the lifters and stuff, right? They're all like, who's your coach? Like, and like there's like a couple bigger names that like a few, like that I know a few people have as their coaches out here. And I'm like, great, cool. I'm glad that you're liking them as your coach. I'm sure they're great. I'm still really happy with mine.
Yeah, yeah.
So
you've got the right guy with Ken.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just, it works and it's everything that I need and nothing that I don't. It's affordable for me. So yeah.
And so that journey has led you to feel better about how you look as well as how you feel.
Absolutely. Because, and like, I posted my transformations and like my weight loss and stuff on my Instagram page. So like you can see all that and like you can see my weight loss transformation. But yeah, my whole goal, and like a lot of people, especially when I started my weight loss journey, they were like, because it started as a weight loss journey and now it's just a strength and feel better journey, strength and wellness journey, I guess. And people would ask me, they're like, do you have a goal weight that you want to lose? Or like, do you have like like, do you have a goal weight, or do you have a certain amount of weight you want to lose? And I'm like, no. I was like, because putting those numbers in my head mentally would trip me up. I was like, my goal for myself was to like what I saw in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and now I'm at a point that it's like, yeah, I look in the mirror and sometimes I'm like getting a little bit fluffy, like that kind of thing, of course, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm confident in myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have that confidence. And right now, yeah, I've kind of been slacking on my training, but I know that I've been slacking on my training because my body can't handle the exertion level that I would have to be at for my body to look as lean and toned as I kind of would like it to right now. So it's kind of like accepting my limitations and just honoring my body and being grateful for what it can do.
Love that. Accepting, honoring, and gratitude. I love that. Those are three really important things with your body, I think.
Yeah.